Siva Samoa to me is more than dance. Like, it keeps me connected with my cultural roots. It's a hard thing to describe because it's talking about true feelings. A lot of untrained eyes and people who look into Siva Samoa think it's just dance and choreography and synchronization, but it's more than that. It's the lessons that we learn from how we learn. Siva Samoa is more so speaking about the destination.
Wana mawale tūlanga mua a o ngā tū whātasi a teine matama, Avondale College.
Talofa, I'm Noah Supa. I became the teacher in charge of the Samoan group in Avondale College from 1988 until 2002. So I'd go right back to the phone call when I applied when I was then in Napier, leaving Napier. The principal rang me and we had about a 20-minute discussion, but most of that talk was about the Samoan kids in the school. There's a lot of scuffles and fights between the new immigrant Samoan kids and the New Zealand born kids. At the time I was there, I helped formalise the Samoan group and actually enter them formally as the Samoan group from Avondale College in 1989. It was just one stage. We competed, all the schools, single-sex boys, single-sex girls, and co-ed. And what usually was always happening that I noticed was a pattern would either be Auckland Girls or De La Salle, Macaulay. There was no idea of a co-ed school in the results. And as I got to know the criteria of the competition, the 9 sections, that sort of laid the platform. What I knew I could do was just build the infrastructure needed to build this group. So in helping to form this group and build them strong, I needed to have activities throughout the year. At that time there was period R on Wednesday afternoons, so I had that block. I think I even introduced kirikiki for the first time. And then they'd always have a trip at the end of the year, and I'd take them to Shakespeare Beach or Long Bay, and we'd have a barbecue and they'd just have fun. So a trip to Samoa was organised in '92, straight from the request of 2 year 12s at that time who begged me to get a trip going. And so we took a trip of, I think, 45 students, and we performed in the first Te Wina. That was an amazing experience for our New Zealand born who had families visiting them in Samoa. And we performed at Samoa College, and we performed at Tuasibi in Savaii. And one of the strategies was to take with us on the trip Miss Debenham, head of languages, and she saw how many of our young people could actually use their language at home And so we needed to bring it here into the curriculum.
I have some fond memories of Avondale College, and especially with the Samoan group. It opened my eyes to the leadership world, becoming a leader, especially now that I've become a church minister, and working with the members, emphasizing the importance of cultural values, of being Samoan through fa'aloalo, respect, tausa'awhia, being admired, and alofa and nangalelei.
And I think that way of maintaining and building relationships, it helped to reduce a lot of the problems that the principal had initially contacted me about. My late mother, Anua Fa'amaili, she helped to bring an amazing tutor who had tutored at Samoa Teachers College.
I le tasiiva valuiva na amata ai le Samoan Culture Group I totonu o le aonga Avondale. And I'm very proud to say that my mom, Awalitia Tuitapono Betham, was our first tutor.
We had a group of 60 strong, and she had definitely influenced a lot of the template of competition, because she was a seasoned practitioner in Siva, Samoa, and all that goes with it.
Talafalava, my name is Fipo Kiliti, and I have been a tutor for Avondale College Samoan Group for a number of years. Tomasi Fonotoy and I first became involved with Avondale College Samoan Group in 1992.
Came to Avondale College and was shocked to see the discipline of the group, and basically taught most of what he wanted to be taught in 20 minutes.
When we taught Sasa, the Samoan group came first in that section that year. We then taught sporadically between 1994 and 97 until we became the regular tutors from about 1999.
And Tomasi, his area of preference and expertise was the taupo, her dressage, how she is dressed from head to toe.
I was responsible for teaching the singing, and I prepared the entry, the exit and ma'uhulu sections. The opportunity to influence and instill in our students their superpower in their cultural identity, and lifting the standard of showcasing the best of our culture to the world through Polyfest. As a tutor, it's a creative outlet and a platform to test creative ideas.
I enlisted the late Reverend Fai Umu at that time. He was not a Faifiao, but he was speaking on the radio, and he is an amazing master of Siva Pese Fa'anganu. And so I asked him, particularly in the category of Bisleaso, which actually goes along with actually helping to teach the Fuking. We're fortunate to have his tutorship at that time, the likes of Lance Nofo.
Talafalava o lo ingoa o le aio tupu dance aino for former student of Avondale College from the years 2000 to 2004. I was so lucky having worked with the likes of Whaiu, who taught me the style of working, the style of bese, and the importance of structuring bese, and even like humbling me at times because I needed it when I was in school. I graduated from the New Zealand Drama School, Toi Whakaari, in 2019. Everything I learnt in those 4 walls of ST2, they were my tools that I used to get through this degree and to get through this drama school.
We also had Tō Masi. I want to acknowledge Esther Kemp, who was a huge support. She was actually working with the Kapahaka group, but I managed to pinch her over, and she sewed for me, for the Samoan group, the scrunchies, the famous scrunchies, just to, highlight our hand movements in the salsa. One thing that I did do as a teacher in charge, and you have to do this, is always go to the Polyfest meetings. One question I'd always ask, how do you mark a co-ed school when both the energy of the boys and the gracefulness of the girls is combined? How do you mark? And my question obviously was because we never won. It was always, either a boys' school or a girls' school. I remember Tuisulu Brown came up to me after the meeting and she said, I should be happy. We're going to have a separate stage for co-ed. And I went home so happy because I thought, we know these 9 categories really, really well. We've got a fierce chance. And that was actually my final year. But finally, after years of, going to these meetings and trying our best as a co-ed, 2002, we won all categories. We were the winners of the co-ed stage. And the rest is history.
Lea onga wana mawale tūlanga mua Avondale College.
Talafalava, my name is Helen.
Talafatu pa ia malu lau mua Avondale o lo wingoa o A4 whaavai fau no mani.
Talafalava, my name is Falulu Ane. I am a ex-student and tutor for the Avondale College Samoan group.
I started tutoring the Avondale College Samoan group when I was still a student, so I was 15 years old. So 2001 was my first year of tutoring. I tutored all the way until 2012. I took a break in 2013 and then returned in 2014 with my final year of tutoring being 2015.
I was a proud tutor of Avondale College from 2007
I think to 2015.
It's shaped my thinking about how to tutor and teach effectively, how to bring out the best in each group because they are different every time. And what works for one doesn't necessarily work for another.
Everything that we do, we aim for the highest quality and nothing short. Avondale College Samoan Group is where the first time I heard the word mediocre. And it was something that was taught to us by our tutor, Filippo Keleti. We are not a mediocre group, and that's something that stayed with me ever since.
If you've been in that Samoan group as a student, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're very blunt, straight shooters. They don't muck around.
I'm proud to say that after that, you know, it was important to get the right person to take up the baton, and in the other bits of the work that I did at Avondale College, it was always my intention to bring in Ngangana Samoa, and with that in mind, I got an applicant in, and her name was Maleni Sangala. I think her own creativity and her own competition came through in the way that she managed the group, and I think Maleni managed to sustain that and bring in her own flair, and she continued with the tutors.
They have become not just friends, seasonal friends, they have actually legit become such close family and people that I know that I can rely on and have been with me throughout different milestones in my life.
At this point, I want to acknowledge some people who were instrumental in transforming the Avondale College Samoan Group, including, of course, the founder of the Avondale College Samoan Group, Noa Silipa, the late Se Mau Melania Sangala, Samoan teacher in charge, Reverend Fayumu Faletuai, the late Tomasi Funtoy, obviously, Palavi Timoteo, the late Esther Kemp, Helen Taunga, Lu Faleane, Lance Ainofo, Malai Sala Tautianga Ane, Afua Fawai No Money, Junior Crichton, Lucky Afua, Brian Matai, Nile Mosa, and of course, Seumanu Simon Matafai.
I want to acknowledge in particular Fawai Normani, who set up the King's Academy in Brisbane, Gold Coast, and our dear Fale Ane, who established an amazing Oriana Academy in Melbourne, and taken it even to the Pacific Cultural Centre in Hawaii. I'm proud of both of them in terms of the learnings that they gained, but also what they had learned from their own families as well. And Lokumi Tutisi or Efakasa, it's about growing that talent that God has given.
The proverb, ole ala I le pule, o le tautua, everyone that serves within the Samoan space knows this proverb. I was fortunate enough to dive into this alanga upu at Avondale College Samoan Group. This is where I met awesome mentors and had a beautiful space to be able to teach 60 students. And I guess this is where I learnt my craft and sharpened my sword.
I really hope that what the students take away from being part of the group is things that can be translated off the stage as well, engaging in the process. Yes, great to have goals and knowing what they are, what the end product should be, but it is how you engage in the process that will determine how long it takes for you to get there. It determines what kind of quality is going to be delivered once you finally get there.
What I hope is that students take away the process that we go through to transform them into a competitive group, and to take that as a template to apply in their academic studies and life in general.
I hope and I pray that you guys understand how important it is to keep our language and our culture alive. Only now that I'm an adult, I now understand why we acknowledge our taiao and our paia in our bese.
When you get to that stage, leave behind something that's gonna have people talking good things about you. It's not about the win. It's about how you pour it all out to make sure that people understand your love and your passion for the culture.
All the best going forward, and in keeping this festival alive, never lose part of their identity as Tangata Pasifika.
E tā ua lo I loa o au tū mā wanga. E tā ua le I loa ma e tautala I lau ngangana. That's our whaasinomanga. It gives us something to belong to.
Let's continue the legacy together, you know, it doesn't end here.
A lot of this generation now, they're all third generation kids, so they don't grow up in Samoa, or they didn't grow up really listening to Samoan songs, like that, or old school songs. So to be able to give them the space to allow them to experience it, it means a lot to us. Years ago, I was also a student, and I went back to give back to my old school, Avondale College, and I just want to see our anganu'u through performing arts grow, especially through Beses and Siva. So I just, you know, it's my passion, it's something I enjoy. What I essentially hope and I pray for our students to take away is the fundamentals of learning, the ingredients, the formula and the process of how we teach. Through hard work and discipline you can achieve anything, and how we teach using the vehicle of Siva, we hope and we pray that they use those aspects of hard work and discipline in all other aspects of their life.
My prayer is that Avondale College Group continues with that pastoral base of making sure that we remember a lot are born here in New Zealand, so don't have that richness of the heritage back home. So when they're teaching it, teach the values. So teach it so that children love it and they grow from that because it grows their identity.